What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Now let's jump right on in and start talking about this John Deere 5095M. So let's talk about, first of all, where this tractor sits in the John Deere lineup. So we'll break that down with the model number 5095M. So the 5 there is going to indicate that this is a 5 series tractor. So within the John Deere lineup, we have the 1 series, which are subcompacts, the 2 series, 3 series, 4 series, which are going to be your compact tractors. Then once we move into our 5 series, we're getting into the utility tractors. Then above that, you're going to have 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s, and those are all going to be large ag tractors. So this is going to be your utility series tractor. Now this is going to be a 95 horsepower. So the last 3 digits there in that model number are going to indicate the engine horsepower in this series. And then lastly, you're going to have that M. That is going to be your trim level indicator. So within the 5 series tractors, you are going to have E trim levels, which are your more basic, more small farm residential homeowner style of 5 series utility tractors. And then you're going to have the M series like we have here, which is really making more of a commercial jump, almost making that jump or bridge that gap between the utility tractors and the large ag tractors. Now let's go ahead and get this hood opened up, start talking about some of these service points on this engine and a little bit about the engine more itself. So to open the hood, we're going to have this silver bar over here on the driver's side or left hand side of the machine. We're simply going to pull out on that bar, raise up on the hood, and it is going to raise up and have 2 gas shocks that help to raise that up and hold that hood into place so that you can work on this machine with that hood up and out of the way. Now, like we said, this is a 95 horsepower engine. This is going to be a John Deere PowerTech 4045 model of engine. And along with that 95 horsepower here at the engine, that is going to translate to 80 horsepower at the rear at your PTO. So whenever we are looking into these machines, looking at buying these tractors, a lot of times the main thing that's looked at is the engine horsepower, but we need to keep in mind that where a lot of the work is going to be done is at the rear of the machine, a lot of times using that rear PTO shaft. So we need to know what kind of power we're translating to the rear. So just know 95 engine horsepower here, 80 horsepower at the rear. Now, some of the service points on this machine, one thing about it is very neatly laid out, very easy to get to everything. And you're also going to have some labeling over here on the backhand side that are going to show you where all of these filters are and also list every single one of them out. So whenever you're going to service this machine, it's very easy to be able to call your local John Deere dealership or get online, search up these part numbers, order these filters, and do this service yourself. So here at the front, first thing we're going to have is our air filter here. Then we're going to have our battery right below that. Right back behind the battery is going to be your cooling system. So of course we're going to have our different evaporators, condensers, back to our radiator, and these are going to all be able to be pulled out and cleaned. So here in the front, first we're going to have one screen that's going to pull out over to the right hand side or the passenger side. Then we have this cooling unit here that has a bolt here on top that we can loosen up and slide this out to be able to get it clean. And then you'll see that we have plenty of room in between our radiator and other components here to be able to get that air in between and get those cleaned out. And that is going to be crucial on these machines. When we're talking about this moving up into the more commercial side of things, we're going to be using this in those dusty, dirty conditions, and we have to make sure that we're keeping our cooling package clean to make sure we're keeping that engine cool so that we can run these machines as they're supposed to be ran. Now, moving on back from that cooling package over here on the driver's side, main thing that we're going to have over here is we are going to have one fuel filter located right down here, and then we're also going to have our engine oil fill right here with the yellow cap. Now, once you were to pull that yellow cap off, you'll notice that that is also where the dipstick is located. So we're not having to look around in a different location for that dipstick. It is going to be right there at your cap at your engine oil fill. Now, when we move over here to the right hand side of the machine or the passenger side of the machine, here is where we're going to have that labeling I was talking about. It's going to be on the side of our radiator housing here, showing us different fluid capacities for these machines. It's going to have the part numbers for your different filters filters, whether that be your engine oil, your hydraulic, your fuel. All of those are going to be listed here in a nice, neat chart that you can check out like we talked about before. So once we move back from that, we are going to have our engine oil filter right here, and then we will have our secondary fuel filter right here. This is going to be the one with the water separator bowl here on the bottom. And then once we move even further back underneath the cab of the machine, you're going to see this big green housing here, and this is going to be our hydraulic filter. Now, as far as where we're going to go to check our hydraulic fluid, that is going to be at the rear of the machine. We are going to have a dipstick right here, and then we'll also have a hydraulic oil fill right here. Now, since we're back here at the rear of the machine looking at that hydraulic dipstick and fill, let's talk about what all we have going on back here at the rear. Now, back here at the rear is whenever we're going to start to see some options come into play on these machines. So starting out here, first thing that we're going to see on this specific machine is that we have 3 sets of hydraulic rear couplers here. Now, standard is going to be 2 sets. So normally we would just have 1 and 2, but on this machine, we do have that optional 3rd set. So that is something to keep in mind whenever you're looking at options on this machine that you can get. Now, what we're also going to have is the category 2 3-point here. So this is all going to be standard. It is going to come with a category 2 adjustable down to a category 1 in case you need to use those category 1 implements. Now, once we get down to the PTO shaft, what's going to come standard on here is a 540 PTO shaft, but you do have the option of putting a reversible PTO shaft on this machine, so you can switch back and forth between 540 and 1000 to be able to fit those different implements. You're also going to have an adjustable drawbar. Once we move down here, we can see the pin system here to be able to adjust that drawbar to where we can either let it sway to one side or the other and pull that out to be able to either lengthen it or shorten it, depending once again on that implement. Now, whenever we're looking a little bit closer here at these 3-point arms, some of the things that you're going to see is they are going to be adjustable. For one, you're going to be able to put them into float. You're also going to be able to adjust the length of them to make it easier for attaching equipment. So we do have those adjustable links here. We simply pull up on this piece, pull out here, and that is going to make the length of these adjustable, making it easier for hooking up those 3-point attachments when you are back here at the rear. We are going to have the nice adjustable sway links on either side of these 3-point arms to be able to adjust that sway back and forth, making sure that implement or these 3-point arms are not getting into your tires there. So that is a nice feature as well. And then while we're back here, one big thing to point out is that on the 5M series machines, you are getting up into a larger stature, larger frame machine. So lifting capacities here at the 3-point are going to vary based on the different transmission options. So for instance, on this machine here, we are going to have the Power 8 transmission, which I actually have done a video on this transmission. I'll make sure to drop a link to that down in the description below so you can check that out. But this machine does have that Power 8 transmission, meaning that we are going to have the highest lifting capacity here at the rear, which is going to be right around 7,800 pounds. Now, you can have 2 different other transmission options on this machine. You can have a power reverser 1616 or a power reverser high-low 3216. And if you get into those transmissions, you're going to have less lifting capacity here at your 3-point. So just keep that in mind whenever you're looking into these machines and we're looking at what attachments we're going to be using, what kind of work we're going to be doing. All of these things are things that we need to consider. How much lifting capacity do we have? How much capacity do we have here at the drawbar of our machine? How much PTO horsepower, how much engine horsepower, all of those things are going to play in as a factor when making your decision. Now, a couple of other things here at the rear that we're going to see. For one, we're going to have our windshield washer fluid reservoir here. We're also going to have a couple of electrical outlets right up here up top. So if we're using those implements that need that rear electric hookup, you do have those as well. You're also going to have the ability to raise and lower your 3-point arms from here at the rear of the tractor, as well as use the PTO without being in the tractor by having these buttons here on the driver's side fender. Now, a few other things to talk about before we hop in the cab of this machine and go over where you're going to spend most of your time are some of the other things here on the outside that often get overlooked overlooked. For one, these tractors, of course, can come from the factory loader ready. As you can see here, this machine already has frames. And if we look over here on the right-hand side, we can see the plumbing down here for the hydraulics to go up to your loader. So this machine is considered loader ready along with this front hood guard. Also, these machines are going to come standard in a cabless model, but the cab is an option. And then whenever we're looking at the cab, you're going to have the option of either the standard cab or the premium cab. Now, I've gone over the differences between a 5E premium cab and standard cab, so you can get kind of an idea of what you're going to get in the differences between the two, even in the 5M. So I'll make sure to drop a link to that video down in the description below as well. Now, also standard on these machines on your front axle is they are going to be mechanical front wheel drive. So one of the things about that is you are going to have another service point here at your front axle where you are going to have to change out that hub gear oil every so often. So make sure that we are checking over here on our service chart underneath the hood how often we have to do that. Make sure that we're taking care of that. That is crucial to your front axle, making sure that we're taking care of that oil. Now, as far as the rear axle goes, you're going to have two different options. Here we are going to have the flange style axle with the steel wheels, but you can get the bar style axle that allows you to spread out those rear tires a little wider, or even maybe add on a set of duals. So make sure that you're checking into that whenever you are looking into these machines. Now, also over here on the driver's side, we're going to see that we have a toolbox here, and then we're going to have our fuel tank located right behind that. On an open station model, that's going to be a 37.7 gallon fuel tank. On a cab model, that's going to be a 43.7 gallon fuel tank. And then you're also going to have your def tank right below that, which is going to be 3.1 gallon. Now, another thing about the outside of this machine is that you are going to have all LED lights here in the front for your driving lights. Then we're going to have lights in the roof up here that are going to add additional work light to your machine. You're going to have the option of adding these side mirrors here. And then you're also going to have the option on these machines to have them ready for auto track. So you'll see up at the top a bracket there that is put on for a receiver to go along with a display to make this machine auto track ready. All right, so now for the fun part, let's go ahead and hop in the cab, get a good look around, see what we're looking at. Now, keep in mind, this is the premium cab on this machine. Now, like I said before, you do have the option of that standard cab, but everything you're going to see in here is going to be a little bit upgraded. We're also going to have that Power 8 transmission. So let's go ahead and hop in, check it out. All right, so we're going to have the two steps here going inside. And then as we look in, first impression, very, very roomy. Lots of windows all the way around this machine, so you can really get a good view out. Now, first thing that we're going to see is our instructional seat here. So this oftentimes is going to be called a buddy seat, but an instructional seat so that you can have an extra rider coming along with you right there with the adjustable headrest, flip down seat. And before we get all the way in, another thing we want to point out is we have a storage compartment right down here below the seat. So whatever we need to put in there, have on board with us, we do have that storage compartment there. Then we're also going to have plenty of room all the way around the seat, all the way around the back side, and over on the right hand side. So good thing is that we have a lot of storage available in this machine. Now, if we look down here at our floor, what we're going to have over here on the left is going to be our clutch. We're going to have our brakes over here on the right. These are going to be the turning brakes that we can flip open with this lever here so that we can use those individually. But most of the time, most people keep that closed down and use those brakes both together. Then over here to the right, we are going to have a foot throttle. So if we need to use that foot throttle, we have that available rather than using our one that's going to be up here on our right hand controls. So then we're going to have an adjustable steering column here. Below that steering column, we're going to see this silver button right down here. And this is going to be our differential lock so that we can lock those rear axles when we're in those sticky situations. Make sure that we're able to get out of those. So now we'll go ahead and turn the machine on. Now, first thing that you'll notice is the very bright display there. You're gonna have a 3-screen display with a scrollable menu over here on the left hand side. So this knob here on the screen, if we turn it, that is going to scroll through different things here on that left hand screen. Here in the middle, we're going to have our RPM, mile per hour. We're also going to have what gear we're in. Over here, we're going to have our different warning lights. This is letting us know that our four-wheel drive is on, letting us know our engine temperature, also letting us know our fuel level and our depth level. Then over here on the left-hand side of our steering column, we're going to have this switch here. This is going to be for our four-wheel drive. We can either have it on all the time or have it up and into auto. You have a selection there. Then up on the column itself, we're going to have our left-hand reverser where we can go from park to forward to neutral down to reverse. We're going to have our turn signals right here. This is also going to double if we push in as our horn. Then over here on the right, we are going to have our light switch. So right here, we can go from off to on to turning on those work lights. Then over here on our right hand side, this is where we had that knob to begin with. This is how we are going to use that menu going through. Now whenever I show how to find a trouble code on a 5 Series machine, you're going to see me use these, so I'll make sure to drop that video down in the description below for you to check out. You're also going to have a button here to turn on work lights, here to turn on your flasher beacon if you have one, and then here to turn on your hazards. And then right down here is where we're going to have our windshield washer knob right here. So now we'll go ahead and turn this machine on. Now, if we look over here to our right, like I said, we have the Power 8 transmission rather. So make sure to check that video out on how to use this transmission. Very, very easy. One stick instead of having two, like we would have. All of your ranges and gears are done with this lever here. We're going to find our range with the lever and then use the buttons on the side to switch back and forth between gears, and then also our D-clutch button to where we don't have to use our foot to change between ranges and gears. You're also going to have up here on your loader lever, you're going to have the ability to change gears here as well if we have that loader on this machine. Then over here to the right, we're going to have our 3 SCV controls. Now if we only had 2 sets of remotes, we would only have 2 remotes, but here we have 3. Then we're going to have our 3-point hitch control over here to our right. We are going to have our throttle button right here. Then we're going to have our PTO on and off right here. Then we have our PTO selection between 540 and 540E right here. Now, if this was a reversible transmission, we would also have that option for 1,000 over here. Now, back here to the right, we are going to have some power outlets. We're going to have a USB outlet here. We're going to have an aux outlet for our radio. This button here is what we are going to have to actuate to be able to get out of the seat and use our 3-point at the rear. So if we're needing to use that 3-point on some sort of attachment where we need to be out of the seat, this is what we would have to actuate first. Then we're going to have that 12-volt outlet here. We're going to have our rear windshield wiper right here, then a cup holder, along with another power outlet right here. Then up on the side post panel here, we're going to have our isobus ready button here and our outlet. So if we are adding such things as a monitor right here for that auto track, we already have that plug, the ability to turn it on. Once we move up, we're going to have our radio right here. Then we're going to have our air vents moving across the top with all of our air controls right here. More vents over here on the left hand side. We're going to have one dome light right underneath here. Then we're going to have another light right here with this switch. Now, in this premium cab, we talked about visibility. So one of the things that you're going to have is the retractable roof here at the top so that we can see out when we're doing that loader work. Then if we want to go ahead and have that closed down, we can also close that up. And along with that, we're also going to have this shade that pulls down and a rear view mirror right over here, along with our side mirrors out to either side. Now, to go along with everything that you just saw there in the cab, one thing that we didn't talk about is the seat. You are going to have the option of either the mechanical or the air seat. Now, with the premium cab, you are going to get that air seat, so keep that in mind. But if the air seat is something that you want, make sure that whenever you are building this tractor with your salesman, you're talking about trying to find one of these, that is something that you mention that you want on this machine. Now, one other thing to talk about on this machine, usually we would talk about price and warranty. In this video, we are only going to talk about warranty because price is going to be dependent on where you're at, what type of incentives and discounts are going on, how exactly you spec this machine out, so that price can really range. So if you're looking for a price on this 5095, make sure to call your local John Deere dealership, get in touch with a salesman so he can price one of these out, spec exactly how you want it. Now, the warranty on this machine is going to be a 2-year, 2,000-hour bumper-to-bumper warranty. Now, if you have ever owned anything smaller, you might have heard that bit for the bumper-to-bumper, but also heard that there's an additional powertrain warranty that goes with that machine. On the 5M series, you do not have that additional powertrain, but you do have the option of buying additional warranty through the John Deere Power Guard program. So if 2-year, 2,000 hours is not enough warranty for you when getting into these machines, make sure to ask that salesman about that Power Guard program to get that extra warranty. So guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. And if you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also guys, if you're looking for any other John Deere information, whether we're talking about tractors, gators, lawnmowers, make sure to go scroll through the videos on this channel, check those out. And as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.